Hello, 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 empowered women community. I am here live. Today is January 27th, and I have a guest with us today. Yay! I'm so excited for you to get to know our beautiful friend and one of the members of our community that we are going to highlight today. Her name is Gail Rudolph. And of course, my lovely co-host today, Deb Esslinger. She is on a road show with the one and the only John C. Maxwell on his book tour this week, and so she is traipsing all over the world, and we're thrilled for her, and we're thrilled for the leadership of that team through the John Maxwell team. Of course, Gail and I are both, and April and Deb, we're all members of the John Maxwell team, because if you are a leader, of course you are part of the #1 leadership team in the world. So good morning, Gail. Good afternoon. I know Gail is in Cali today. I'm in Florida today, and wherever you're watching, wherever you're viewing around the world, we want to say hello, hello, hello. And I'm just really, really thrilled to have the opportunity to visit with you today, Gail. Thanks for being with us, Gail.
Oh, thank you, Marissa, for having me. It's always a pleasure to join you and this community. You're such a blessing to me. So thank you so much for allowing me to join.
So we were talking about show guests, and I said, oh, Gail's perfect. If she says yes, we're going to be so thrilled. So anyway, when Gail said yes, I went, yay. I literally did jazz hands in my living room, because I have had the fortunate opportunity to behind the scenes really get to know Gail, and the body of work that she does and the leadership that she has. And one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on today, Gail, was that you are one of only very, very few in the entire world Cialdini certified trainers. And when I say Cialdini certified, for some of you, I'm going to have Gail talk a little bit about Cialdini's work and persuasion and some of the things that she teaches all around the world today, both live events and virtually. And so, Gail, it's my understanding that there are only 13 certified instructors for the Cialdini persuasion, and of those 13, there are only 2 women in the entire world, and you are the only female in the entire United States of America. Like, this is a big country. Are you kidding me? You are the only one. So this is a huge opportunity for us to learn from an absolute, right at the core of it, leader. So maybe can you tell us a little bit about Dr. Robert Cialdini, the work that he does, and the, really just kind of the body of work of what it's all about?
So Dr. Cialdini is an amazing man. So I get the opportunity to actually work with him and study with him and learn from him. So it's been a great experience. But back in the 1980s, he wrote a book called Influence. And basically it was the principles of persuasion. And how do we persuade people? How does that actually work? So he is a researcher by trade. So the thing that most people don't know about Dr. Cialdini is that he went undercover before he actually went to the laboratory. So he put on wigs, he changed his demeanor, he changed his look, and he went undercover at places like automobile sales training. He went, excuse me. So he went undercover. So he even went under the cult. So he studied under marketing teams, under various organizations to see what was it that they were able to get people to say yes. So he gathered that material, and then he took it back to the laboratory and he tested it all. He wanted to see what actually rang true worldwide, across cultures, and throughout time. And it's really exciting that he was able to boil it down to these 6 principles that are never, ever going to go away. They're innate in us from the time we were created.
Well, it's part of our design, right? And this is the part that I love about it. It's research-based work. So if you have not yet read the book Influence, Persuasion, can you just give us a quick background on what is persuasion, the way that he describes it, and really what that looks like today?
It's really interesting because we talk about influence and we talk about persuasion, and a lot of people have a negative connotation. But when we're talking about it, we're talking about being able to enhance relationships, really solidify our relationships with people. And mostly we're talking about maximizing our impact. on what we're doing. And I know with me, I would go throughout, I worked in fundraising for years. There were some things I knew worked. I had no idea why they worked. There were other things that didn't work. I had no idea why they didn't work. And what Dr. Cialdini has brought to us is the ability to know why some things work and why they don't work, and to be able to maximize our efforts and our impact in relationships with other people.
Yeah, I've read some of his work, and I had the opportunity to hear him speak a couple of years ago, and I sat in that room, and just the difference between how you would use it in marketing and how you say what you say. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it, when you say it, and what you say. So there are 6 core principles that we have, and I want to ask you about those 6 core principles. Why is it important, first of all, that we know what those core principles are? And then, well, for me, what are they? Also,
all right,
everybody, wait. I want to help them here, Gail. I want to help them, because here's what happens. I get off the phone with Gail Rudolph, and my mind, first of all, is blown. And I'm not kidding you, I came prepared. I have a notebook and pen. I'm ready to learn today. And I literally get off the phone and I go, why didn't I order that? Why didn't I Zoom that? Like, why didn't I tape that conversation? So it's so good for business. And of course, I'm leading teams today. I'm leading, everything from my teammates within my companies today, but also my clients in my interaction with the people that I work with every day, and my family members. So this was really interesting, because you had given me a tip on one of these principles of persuasion in working with my kids. For all the moms and dads out there that are listening, get your pens and paper ready. Okay, now, Gail, I gave them enough time to get a pen. If they don't have a pen and paper ready, it ain't my fault. Just rewatch the video, okay?
You're right. And before I get into the principles, I just want to note that some of us are more comfortable in the principles than others. So there will be some that you will resonate with, but I can guarantee you, no matter what situation you're in, there's a different principle, or if one's not working, you choose a different principle. And it's amazing how it works and changes your interaction with people. So let's get started. The first principle we're going to talk about is probably the one that most people can resonate with it most, and that's liking. We prefer to do business with people we know and we like. And actually, we will go out of our way to say yes to those people if we like them. So that's just a very common one. So that's one we can all resonate with. The next principle is reciprocity. Reciprocity is that need, that internal desire to give back to somebody who's given to us. This dates back, and some cultures actually instill this very heavily in their children, but it's instilled in all of us. But this is that opportunity that somebody gives something to you, there's this innate desire to give back. For example, somebody buys you a cup of coffee, right? We in our brains think about, okay, the next time I'm going to buy them a cup of coffee, or I'm going to do something for them to go out of my way. It's really what society is built on, because if we didn't have reciprocity, nobody would do anything first. And so reciprocity is a big one.
This is a huge one. I literally this just happened to me this last weekend. I was at Universal Studios with my kids, and I bought donuts day one, because let's be real, who doesn't love donuts, right? And so I got these donuts, and they were amazing, and they had this big, huge, I'm not even kidding when I say it was like the size of the size of my head, and they called it the Big Texas. And I said to the kids, I was like, wow, I really want to eat that. And they were all out. They were out of the Big Texas donut. So the kids that morning, then the next morning, got up early, got to the park before I got to the park, to the Universal theme parks, went and stood in line for like a whole hour before I even got there. And bought me this big, huge donut. And they were so excited to give me this donut. And they said, well, you bought us donuts yesterday, and we just wanted it. We knew that you really wanted one. And so we just really wanted to give it to you. And I was like, oh, reciprocity at work. It was so good.
And it's amazing. Once you learn these principles, you see them everywhere and everything. But, it's in us. Somebody takes care of our plants or gets our mail while we're gone. We come back with a gift card to Starbucks. It does not have to be a large thing. It's very small, but reciprocity is key. It's what our society is actually built on.
So good.
Then
So number three.
Number three is consistency. So believe it or not, this is also an 8 in us. We want to remain consistent with things we have previously said and done before. So if we've taken a stand on something, we in our minds want to remain consistent with what we've said before. So we actually can do this by getting small commitments from people, and then actually they'll commit to larger things because they want to stay consistent. We've all seen this one used in an improper way. We do not condone any improper use of these principles. Ethically, to build relationships and to maximize impact, never to control. But
yeah, this is a big one too in sales. Back in the day, there used to be, well, there's a lot of different sales training courses, and I started way back in the day, Gail, doing insurance sales, and they had this whole for the company that I very first started training with before I went independent, they had like a whole list of questions that we would need to ask, and they would say you need to get them to say yes so many times. And I was like, but is this the right thing for them? And they're like, well, yes, it's that everybody gets the same thing. And I'm like, but does everybody need the same thing? And they're like, just follow the script and you'll make sales. And I said, but wait. So I started asking these questions, and then they wouldn't let me come to the meetings anymore. They were like, yeah, she can't come to the meetings anymore because she asks too many questions.
So you bring up a good point, though, because we all know when these are being used against us, right? We feel it in our gut, and we go, man, they're just trying to manipulate me. And that's not at all what we're talking about with persuasion. We're talking about maximizing our impact, creating real relationships, and putting people first. But yeah, nobody likes to be duped at all.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing when you start getting people to say yes in sales, especially. I always ask the question, it's that first do no harm. It's the thing that physicians use, right? First do no harm. And we want to make sure that if you're using these, we should have put a little disclaimer at these, because these are powerful. These are really, really powerful principles. And they're used across the board in sales, in marketing, in relationships. Physicians use them, therapists use them, you name it, they're used across the board. But we want to influence for good, right? So when you think about the people that you're interacting with, when you ask the question, is this the best thing for them? Is that, have I put them first in that relationship? So yeah, okay, before we go on to, number 4, I just want to make sure we put a few things out here that we're like, hey, let's use these for good and not evil, all right?
Right. And with consistency, it can just be one small yes. It doesn't have to be down the line of things, but it's a very interesting one. But the next one is authority. So this one is not somebody in authority. This is somebody that is an authority. So for example, people like lawyers, doctors, CPAs, these are people that we go to that are an authority on something, and they're good for us. But if we have authorities that back up what we're talking about, we should be using those and presenting those to our customers or clients and people we work with. And it's amazing. You should have your credentials on the back of the wall. I have a window behind me, but mine are in front of me, but your credentials should actually be up there so people can see that you're an authority.
Oh, credentials. That's really interesting. I used to, you win awards and you have all these different things that you've done and you've been certified in and whatnot. And I called them I love me walls. And I didn't like them, Gail, because I was like, oh, you're so arrogant. You're so conceited. You go in and you have like a big old I love me wall. Which I was like, wow, who do you think you are? But when you think about it, it speaks before you even have to. Right. It speaks before you even get to, and your reputation precedes you before you even walk into the room if they've seen that out in the foyer of of your company, or maybe on your business card or on your website beforehand to say, hey, I have authority to speak in these areas. It was interesting. I did a coaching call with somebody on this last week, and I said, how come you're attempting to be someone you're not? You're using other people's material, you're using other people's body of work, and you're saying, well, I'm going to teach it and sell it and do that. I said, you have authority in the business that you're in. You've got 30 years of experience and 30 years of success. How come you want to use their success as opposed to your own? How come you want to use their results as opposed to your own? And she went, ding, 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 ding. And she went, yeah, that's right. Why am I selling their stuff? I know how to do this. And I went, oh, good for you. And you could just see her whole wheels start turning, and she began to walk in who she was. Even you, Gail, when you think about the authority that you have, I love how, before I even knew Gail, she walked into a room and we were in a training together. And I was like, wow, it goes before her. Right? Who she is, who you are, go before you. And when you walked in, I was like, I really need to get to know this woman. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, it matters. So yeah, well done.
Yeah. And it doesn't help anybody for us to play small. So if you have those, you need to show them. I know what you're saying, Marissa, because we're taught in society to be so humble, right? Especially as women, don't put yourself out there. But these are things that other people will look at. So one of the studies that we teach is about people going back to the physical therapist, and they were getting patients not complying with the exercises they were supposed to do at home. We made one change. They did one thing. They took the physical therapist credentials, put it on the wall, 30% increase in compliance of people doing their exercises at home just because they could see the certifications of the people they were working with. Really? Unbelievable. Small. And I want to say that most of these don't cost a cent. It doesn't cost you more than a frame and a nail to put something on the wall. But it made a big difference in the outcomes. And that's what's so great about these principles. We're not talking about a ton of money. We're talking about changing just the way we do things, the order we say things, and bringing things to people's awareness.
Well, and it's also impact, right? So if you want to impact your clients, if you want to impact in your businesses, if you want to impact your children, if you want to impact the people around you, part of that next step, it was interesting. One of my daughters is now, she was going to go to school for nursing, and she did 2 years in, and then she realized COVID hit, and she was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And then she came home and she said, I've been watching you help people for years in finance, and you teach them. And she said, you really do I've been watching it, the teach a man to fish. And so the impact of that is now even in my own family. She said, I want to help people like that, and I want to make a difference in the world in that way. So when you think about, you're modeling this every day. You're modeling it with your children. You're modeling it with your employees. You're modeling it with your team members. You're modeling it in your community. That's so good. And I think, it's interesting. I was going to ask you, Gail, too, about using the principles together, because consistency and authority, right? That goes really well together as well.
You want to use every principle that's available to you. And like I said, they are available to you in every situation, every single one. And the majority of the time, you're using 3, 4, 5 of them. Awesome. So definitely use them together.
So we are on number 5. Now. Number 5.
Scarcity. Okay, we understand scarcity. Just think of Black Friday, right? This is actually ingrained in our emotions, right? We get really emotional about there's only so many there are, and I want to be one of them. So scarcity, if things are limited, don't say it's for a limited time. Say there's a limited quantity, so that you can talk about that. That's how Black Friday actually gets it. There's a limited quality. You can only get it at this time. Scarcity is a great thing to use no matter what you're doing.
Limited quantity. This is huge. So this is big for any of you that are watching that are in an authority type position where people come to you for advice.
Mhm.
This was a change your life principle for me. I only have so many clients that I take on per year for one-to-one sessions. I only have so many that are in my inner circle, so many that are in my masterminds. And once they're full, they're full.
Oh, yeah.
And the last mastermind group that I did, and it was really more of an accelerator course. But before the course, I didn't even put it out on the marketplace. I literally did not even advertise it.
Mhm.
I did one group where I spoke to one group, and pre-sale into it, a couple of the slots filled up, and literally halfway through, once the link came up and we put the link in the chat for them to enroll in this accelerator course, I said, listen, we're going to go deep with this limited number of people. And the seats are limited, and I mean this with love, but it's first come, first serve. So, even if you know my mama, hi mom, even if you know my mama, you're not getting in after the date. And we closed it down, and we had many people that emailed us afterwards and said, hey, can I still get in? Is there any way? Yada, yada. And I said, there's a waiting list for the next one. I won't be doing another one for at least a full now quarter. And we've got a waiting list of multiple people. Same thing with my individual coaching sessions, because I only do a couple a year. And I said, here's the deal. I only have so much time, and this is the number. But when you look at your rates and your pricing, this will increase as well, because if you're a speaker or a trainer or a coach or someone that only has limited time in which to work on a one-to-one basis or a one to a few basis, I would tell you that pricing is absolutely tied to scarcity. And the other thing that I think it's tied to is scarcity and results, right? Those two things. If they know they're going to get the results over here, when there's scarcity, your price point goes way, way up. So I'm a businesswoman, you're a businesswoman, all of us that are listening on this for business today. When you say, yeah, I'm available anytime, you just killed, number one, you killed your schedule. Number two, you killed your authority, I think, because I can't call the best neurosurgeon in the world today and just say, hey, Chuck, best neurosurgeon in the world, or hey, Stacy, best neurosurgeon in the world. Can we chat on Wednesday? Oh yeah, I got plenty of time. They got no time. They're saving lives. They're cutting into people's heads and, making neurosurgeon stuff happen. Right. So anyway, I think it's very interesting when you use that one. And Gail, Gail, you changed my life on this one. This one. Gail changed my life on this one. She goes, wait a minute. Why are you working like a dog? You're working 80 hours a week. Why are you doing that? If you did it this way, you still get the same results, but you don't have to work like a dog and try to figure out how you maximize everything. So yeah, thank you, Gail, for that.
Yeah,
so
and we could talk about these principles all day, because I could tell you all kinds of things just around scarcity. So, but all of them. But
yes. So number six.
Number six is consensus. So we all know that from our iPhones. Okay, we look to see what other people are doing in order to decide what we're going to do. Biggest thing of this is Yelp, right? You're in a new town, you go to a new place and you want to go out to dinner. What do? You look them up on your phone, look at the ratings. What have other people said? This is a big one, and it's really interesting. You get about 5 or 6 people doing something. If you ever want to have fun, Marissa, go to a public place. You could have done this last week at Universal, right? You get 5 or 6 people doing something. My kids and I have done this where we'll stand on a corner and just look up at the sky. There's nothing up there. We'll just stand there and look up at the sky. When you get about 5 or 6 people that are doing the same thing, it becomes a crowd. Everybody then stops and does it. So if you have testimonies, if you have things people have said about you, you need to put those out there. So many times we bury our testimonies. And
that's good.
It can just be right out there so people can see, hey, you know what? These are what other people are saying about us.
Yeah, that's so good. And I come from the don't be a bragger background, right? So this is what I grew up in. Don't brag about what you do. And it was bragging, right? So how do we get through that? How do we get past that without you, giving us some psychotherapy here today, Gail, which I know you absolutely could do, but but how do we get past the whole bragging part of consensus, testimony, putting ourselves out there?
It's really easy, believe it or not, Marissa, because we are all programmed. We don't want to brag about ourselves, and we don't want to hear somebody else bragging about themselves. We really get turned off from that. Here's a couple of tips for you. When you're going to be introduced or you're going to do some work with somebody, send your information ahead of time. Have them have your bio in front of them. Send them your credentials. Make sure that they have it. And I always ask this question, Marissa, do you know who the best person in the world is to introduce you?
My best friend.
Well, you would say yes, but I'm going to tell you, anybody but you.
Anybody but me. Very good.
Anybody. I don't, even a receptionist on the phone that's transferring a call. Hey, I'm going to transfer you to Marissa. She's got this amount of experience. You know, she does this, this, and this. She's great with these clients. Let me put you through. You're going to love her. Anytime you can have somebody else introduce you, you need to. If you're in a meeting with team members, arrange ahead of time that you introduce them and have one of them introduce you. You cannot get it. That's why you see the big speakers on stage, right? What do they have when they come up? They have a bio, usually by a video and lots of music and various things that list all their credentials. That's what they're telling you. This is who I am. I'm a person of authority without them saying it. So anybody but you have introduced you. You can do that through video, anything. But
you know, that is powerful, because I've been using that for years and not even realizing I was doing that. That's so good. We do this within our team. We just did it yesterday. I was working on some appointments, and you know, the gentleman that I was working with, before I could even open my mouth, he said, "Let me tell you about Marissa, because I've known her for 20 years. Here's what she does. Here's what I've learned. Here's what she's going to help you with." And he set it's like he set the whole table, and all we had to do was have the meal delivered. Right. It was so good. Really, really powerful. An introduction is really powerful. The right introduction. Right. Well done.
This is the first place I go when I work with companies. I go straight to who's answering the phone and how are they transferring people on the phone. Because you will see a huge increase in business just by who's answering the phone and how they transfer it.
Well, this is something you train companies in. I mean, you train them from really on the 6 principles, how to best use those and support the company values and the company's mission, correct?
Correct. And actually, we hold an average of 212% increase by applying these principles in your business. 212% increase.
Wow.
Dr. Cialdini says we have a 300 to 400% increase in getting people to say yes by applying these principles. So, you know, these are real things. They create big results once you learn how to implement them to their fullest.
So that, you know, one of the benefits, of course, is increased business. You know, what are some other benefits as we're going through, you know, how we can use these? Because women in business, I see this, you know, the world has definitely changed, right? And I would see this for, you know, I've been in business 27, 28 years this year. And, you know, we would see them kind of scrape for a place at the table, right? And if there was 2 women in the room and, you know, 10 men or 15 men, you know, there would be 2 of us there, especially in the financial advisor world, which is the world that I come from. You know, 17% of the entire population is females, right? 7 of the entire male versus female population in business. So how do we best use these principles?
Well, you know, they're for building relationships. They decrease people from their uncertainty. They move people to action. But most of all, they help with our interpersonal interactions with people. So, Marissa, you know, I'm writing a book right now called Power Up, Power Down. It is using these principles. It's geared towards women and minorities to use these principles to maximize their impact. First of all, getting a seat at the table. And then what do you do when you get there? How does it work? And what do you do? And it's all about taking these principles of influence that we have and being able to use them and move them forward. So I always say we cannot change anybody but ourselves. But if we can change ourselves and change the way people are interacting with us, then we have change happening.
I'm writing that down. Hold on one sec here. Hold on one sec. I'm just writing this down here. I'm scribbling as fast as I can. Hopefully I can read these notes. The good news is, if you didn't catch all of this, no worries. You can go back and watch this again on our Facebook page. But, Gail, I know that you do have a book coming out, and we've talked actually quite a bit about it because you were sharing with me and with April and Deb about these power up, power down principles, actual specific action steps and strategies that you can use in your business dealings, in your social gatherings today, even in one-on-one connecting with people. And so I'm really, really excited about this. I can't wait for your book to come out. When does the book come out? You've got 2 different launch dates for this because you've got the ebook and then you've got hard copy, right?
Right. So the ebook will be out on July 6th. So you can get it there. It actually won't be hard copy until the 1st of October. And it is really taking these principles and applying them for women and minorities in the workforce. How do we do it? What are some of the scenarios we need to do? How can we change our behavior and thus change everybody's interaction with us? And it's about that stimulus between, what happens to us and that space from the stimulus of what happens to us to how we respond to it. So it's really, really exciting. Dr. Cialdini has actually already read the book and endorsed it with his principles because he knew it was built on that. So we're pretty excited about being able to offer that resource to women to help us actually move and get that seat at the table and in the right way that we need to.
So I'm going to ask April to put our email subscription up here on the banner right now for us, so that anybody who wants to make sure that when this book comes out, we're gonna be there first to offer it to all of you through the Empowered Women community. I'm gonna put Gail on the spot right now, and I'm gonna say, Gail, girl, will you come back? Will you come back and give us an opportunity to interview again on just this book? Because I know we've talked a lot about it behind the scenes, and wow, the things that she shared with me to help me apply in my businesses today. It's one of the things that I would attest to, just receiving a $10,000 speaking day. To the principles that I applied in that process. That's huge. To get a contract for $10,000 a day is pretty massive. I don't know about you, but that was a big speaking gig for me. And I went, wow, this is awesome. This is going to be really, really fun. And I applied some of the principles that you had shared with me that I had learned. And so I want to just really quick, I know we're completely out of time. I knew that this was going to happen, which is why I put you on the spot to have you come back. So Gail Rudolph, you are just an amazing, empowered woman. You are part of our women community since the beginning. We love having you as an influencer in our community, and we're just so grateful for you. We're grateful for all of our viewers that watch. We're going to continue to bring to you people like Gail, interviews like this, where you can take real business nuggets, real things, and apply them both personally and professionally to your world. So thank you, Gail, for being here. On behalf of April Floyd, our behind the scenes ninja. April, we love you, girl. Thank you for making us look good on camera today. And my beautiful, amazing co-host, Deb Esslinger, who I love and miss you terribly this week. I get to have lunch with my best friends every week, but we always invite new people to our table, and this is great. So thank you, Gail. Appreciate any closing thoughts or comments.
Yes, I have one. This all seems really hard to do. I can tell you it can be learned. It's all based on research. It's all tools that we can all learn, that we can all use. So don't ever feel intimidated by the information. It's something you can put into effect tomorrow.
So good. Thank you for the encouragement, Gail. She is an encourager. That's who she is. In the Empowered Women community, that's what we're here to do, is encourage you, to love on you, to help you become the very best version of who you are. So until we see you next week, same time, same place, we hope that you live just an absolute empowered week in your businesses, both personally and professionally. We'll see you soon.